So there are a lot of lessons in this video that hopefully you can go ahead and extract and leverage for yourself to become a better market participant. And in this video, I want to go ahead and tell you guys a story of some kid. And the reason I say kid is important because I'm going to go ahead and share the reason why I'm saying that. But some kid on X.com probably lost a lot of money shorting Nvidia, and we'll go ahead and talk about a couple of things in regards to Nvidia and the story about this kid. So we have someone on X who posted 8 hours ago stating how Nvidia is about to absolutely collapse. Right now, of course, we had Nvidia's earnings. We saw that Nvidia absolutely dominated what the analysts expected for the quarter. They also had some great forward guidance, and they announced a 10-to-1 stock split, although that's irrelevant to the fundamentals, etc. Great earnings for Nvidia. And so after Nvidia had its great earnings, this kid said, how are we still going up? This company is trash. I've been trading for 5 years now. I've never seen a bubble this big. Now, before we actually go ahead and talk about something that you guys have to be mindful of, something else that I think everyone should be skeptical of is when you're listening to someone, whether it's on YouTube, it's on X, maybe it's in some type of other social media platform, regardless, you have to be kind of skeptical of the individuals who try to portray a certain lifestyle, especially the very flashy ones, right? For example, and again, I'm not hating on this individual. I don't even know him. Doesn't have a real name on X. Profile photo is not even a photo of himself. He says he's a teenage day trader, right? That's already a little bit of a red flag. One of his posts states that he bought his dream car at 17 thanks to the stock market. Now, of course, I'm not trying to have some ageism here and say that that's impossible. No, it's not impossible. It could happen, right? There's a lot of things that, that could happen. I mean, things could come out of the thin air, right? If you believe certain theories, etc., right? I mean, there's just so many things that could happen. But is it likely that someone that's 17 years old is just this amazing trader buying a Lamborghini solely off of trading? It's a bit unlikely. And so this kid, who, you guys should be a bit skeptical of, has a large following, by the way, has over 76,000 followers on X. Now, I'm not saying this because I'm some type of jealous, old person over here saying, oh man, why does he have more followers than me? I could care less, right? I rarely use X.com. I use it a lot of times for news, sometimes to share some ideas, but it's very worrisome that we have someone who has a large following and all he does is just flashes money. Who knows if it's real, and just flashes images of nice cars. And the thing is, you should just always be skeptical about that. But that's besides the point. Now, I want to go ahead and talk about, this whole conversation about Nvidia, right? So Nvidia, of course, we saw it do well for its earnings. It's done extremely well for the year. This was actually a trade idea I shared within the Push and Profit private group exclusively before it broke out. I mean, I showed the receipts in several other videos of me sharing the message on how, look, I think this is going to break out for the year. It broke out, did extremely well. I have it in my long-term portfolio as well. I have exposure to Nvidia in my long-term portfolio, but I've also traded Nvidia on my short-term trading account, and recently I've been saying that I'm very optimistic for Nvidia. Now, a lot of people were thrown off, especially if you're a teenager who's day trading, right? Especially those individuals, because a lot of times those individuals only look at technical analysis, which is the charts. And technical analysis, although it is a data point, it's not one of the best data points out there. And so that could ruin you, right? Someone could look at this and say, oh, well, this thing is overvalued because it's ran up so much. It has to go down. And that could be a bad form to deploy capital. You don't want to just deploy capital just based off technical analysis. You want to go ahead and use it in confluence with other data points. And the reason is because when you're using only technical analysis, you tend to forget that you're actually buying and selling shares of an actual business, right? And that's important to understand because, one of the reasons why we're seeing Nvidia go up is because we're actually seeing the earnings per share go up. And so you see these high multiples that people are paying for a company, but that's because the company is beating expectations and bringing in a lot of revenue. They're bringing in a lot of profits. And so at the end of the day, when you have a profitable business, of course, people are willing to pay a premium for that, especially if the forward, pretty much guidance is saying, hey, I think things are going to be better. When you hear that from a company, well, of course, capital is going to flow into a company. And one thing also, we've heard the conversation, the narrative with Nvidia, with people saying, oh, this is like the dot-com bubble. It's really not. And the reason I say this is because whether you were, participating in the market during the dot-com bubble, maybe you read, some books about it. If you were in either of those categories, one of the things you may know is that during the dot-com bubble, things were just popping upwards simply because they mentioned the word internet or World Wide Web at the time. And we had a lot of unprofitable companies that skyrocketed to the moon simply because they said they were going to be selling things online, when the actual earnings per share didn't justify those high multiples. And so that was kind of a greater fool's theory, right? Or kind of just a castle in the sky theory, right? And that's essentially, if you don't know those terms, that's essentially people buying just to hope to sell it to someone else for a higher price, but there's really no fundamental backing for those prices. This is different for Nvidia. We're actually seeing the company do extremely well. And so again, that's why I always say you want to go ahead and use, technical analysis and confluence with fundamental analysis, the macroeconomic environment, monetary policy, fiscal policy. These are all things I talk about within the Push Your Profit private group. But one thing that we're seeing is that Nvidia's revenue is taking off, and what they just said in today's earnings kind of blew the lids off a lot of analysts, because it's higher than what analysts previously thought for the next quarter. And so pretty interesting stuff with Nvidia. Nvidia, I like to think of it as, how in the gold rush, the people who really got rich were the people selling the shovels. Well, that's kind of what Nvidia is in the AI space, right? There's a lot of promise with AI, and I'm optimistic for AI, but the chips are kind of like the shovels. And so that's kind of where we're at right now. And so this video is just a quick video that honestly I know is not going to do well for the algorithm. I'm uploading it pretty late, so if you watch this video, make sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and hopefully you guys learned a couple of things. One, be very mindful of the people you see posting online. A lot of these individuals try to fake a lifestyle that they're these great master market participants, when in reality, they're just looking at one form of one form of data and saying, oh, well, I'm going to do this. And I think I saw a post from this kid, honestly, saying that he was going to buy $30,000 in puts. I don't see the tweet anymore. Perhaps it was deleted. And when I say tweet, I mean to say post. I know it's no longer called tweets anymore. Still trying to get used to that. But hopefully you guys learned a couple things. Again, when it comes to trading or investing, you have to remember you're buying and selling businesses. You can't just trade off something and say, oh, well, it ran up really high. Surely it can't go up any higher, because no, right? Things can go up higher, especially when you have the fundamentals there. Now, I would delve a bit deeper into what's going on with Nvidia and what are my price targets, but I'll go ahead. I left that exclusively for those within the Push Your Profit private group, but hopefully you guys found a bit of entertainment in today's video, and I'll see you guys on this next one right over here. Take care, guys.